They say one truly understands another only when money is involved. I learned this lesson at the age of 73 while lying in a hospital bed with pneumonia, observing my own children enter with measuring tape in their pockets and avarice in their eyes. My name is Vivian Crawford, and this is the account of how I relinquished $1 million home despite my own flesh and blood. I would do it again without hesitation. Before we proceed, I would appreciate knowing where you are viewing this from. Please share your city and state in the comments. It helps me feel less isolated in this experience. It was a bitter February morning in Charleston, South Carolina, when everything changed. I had been in the hospital for 5 days, struggling to breathe, my lungs congested with fluid. The doctors indicated that my condition was precarious. I will admit I felt fear, deep fear. At my age, pneumonia is not merely an inconvenience, it is a potential death sentence. I kept my phone on the nightstand, checking it obsessively, waiting and hoping. Surely my children would come. Surely they had heard. My neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, had informed them. I knew this because she had squeezed my hand, tears in her eyes. But day 1 passed, then day 2, then 3. The nurses were exceptional, particularly one named Angela Martinez. She was around 40 years old, with kind brown eyes and the gentlest hands I had ever known. Each time she entered my room, she would inquire about my well-being and genuinely await my response. She would brush my hair from my forehead when the fever caused me to sweat and hold my hand during the worst coughing fits, whispering encouragement that I was strong and would overcome this. "Your family must be so worried," she remarked on day 3 while adjusting my IV. I struggled to respond. The truth felt too humiliating. "They're busy," I managed to say, my voice muffled by the oxygen mask. Angela nodded, but something in her eyes suggested she understood. She had witnessed this scenario before. The elderly patients abandoned by their children. It was more common than anyone cared to admit. On day 4, I began to improve. The antibiotics were finally taking effect. My breathing eased. The doctor mentioned I might be able to go home in a few days if I continued to progress. That was when they arrived. I heard their voices in the hallway before I saw them. My daughter Patricia's sharp laugh, reminiscent of breaking glass, followed by my son Michael's deep rumble. They burst into my room like a storm, all smiles and the words, "Oh, Mom, we've been so worried." Yet I noticed details, small nuances that might seem inconsequential to others, but meant everything to me. Patricia's gaze barely met my face before it scanned the room, lingering on the window with its view of the historic district. Michael did not embrace me. He merely patted my shoulder, as one might do to a dog, his attention already diverted to his phone. As I drifted off to sleep, I overheard the words that would change everything. "So," Patricia whispered, "who gets the house?" My eyes were closed, but I was wide awake. Each word they exchanged pierced like a knife. "The house must be worth at least $1 million now," Michael said, his voice low but filled with excitement. "Perhaps more. That neighborhood has skyrocketed in value. I should get it." Patricia interjected, "I'm the oldest, and frankly, I need it more than you do. Derek has been unemployed for 6 months and the bills are piling up." "Oh, please. Your husband is out of work because he is lazy. At least I have a real job. Besides, I'm the one who visited her for Christmas." "You stayed for 2 hours, Michael. 2 hours. Most of it was spent in the garage looking at Dad's old tools." I wanted to scream, to sit up and expel them both from my presence, but something compelled me to remain still and silent. An instinct told me I needed to hear everything. "Look, we need to be practical about this," Patricia continued. "She's not going to last forever. She's 73 and just nearly died from pneumonia. We need to start planning. Has she updated her will recently?" "How should I know? She won't discuss it. Every time I bring it up, she changes the subject." "Well, one of us needs to initiate that conversation. We can't just wait around and hope for the best." There was a pause, and I could hear the shuffling of feet and the rustling of a jacket. "Maybe we should try to obtain power of attorney," Michael suggested. "You know, just in case she becomes incapacitated." "That's actually smart," Patricia agreed. "If she's not thinking clearly, we could make decisions for her, medical decisions, financial decisions, for her own good, of course." "Of course," Patricia echoed, and I could hear the smile in her voice. They departed shortly after, each giving me a quick peck on the forehead as if I were already a corpse they were preparing to bury. They promised to return soon and assured me of their love. Every word was a lie, and we all knew it. After they left, I lay there, staring at the ceiling tiles. 47 years of motherhood, 47 years of sacrifices. I had worked 2 jobs after their father died to provide them with quality education. I had financed Patricia's wedding, which cost $30,000. I had co-signed on Michael's first house when no bank would take a chance on him. And this was my reward, vultures circling before I was even dead. About an hour later, Angela entered with my evening medications. She took one look at my face and recognized something was amiss. "Mrs. Crawford, are you all right? You're crying?" I hadn't even realized the tears were falling. I wiped my face with trembling hands. "I'm fine," I lied, "just tired." But Angela did not move. She pulled up a chair beside my bed and sat down, taking my hand in both of hers. "I've been a nurse for 18 years," she said softly, "and I've learned that sometimes fine means anything but. You don't have to tell me what's wrong, but you also don't have to pretend with me." Something about Angela's kindness broke through the walls I had built. Perhaps it was the pneumonia weakening my defenses, or the crushing loneliness of realizing my own children viewed me as nothing more than an inheritance. Whatever the reason, the entire story poured out. I disclosed everything about their conversation, the house, and how they had not visited me in 8 months prior to this hospital stay, and even now they had only come to calculate their future windfall. Angela listened intently, her hand never leaving mine, her eyes filled with compassion I had not seen in my own children's faces for years. "I'm so sorry," she whispered when I finished. "You deserve so much better than that." "The worst part is I knew," I admitted. Deep down, I recognized they had changed. I knew they only called when they needed something. But I kept making excuses for them, telling myself they were just busy, just stressed, just dealing with their own lives. "You're their mother. You wanted to believe the best of them. That's not a failing, Mrs. Crawford, that's love." "A love they clearly do not return," I replied, feeling the weight of her words. Angela remained quiet for a moment before saying something that would resonate with me forever. "Family isn't always about blood. It's about who shows up, who holds your hand when you're scared, who sees you as a person, not a paycheck." As I continued to recover over the next 3 days, I had ample time to reflect. Patricia and Michael did not return. They sent brief text messages inquiring about my well-being, but they did not visit. They had obtained what they came for: confirmation that I was alive and an opportunity to scout their future inheritance. Meanwhile, Angela was present every day. She was no longer assigned to me. Her rotation had changed, yet she stopped by on her breaks, bringing me cups of real coffee instead of the hospital's subpar brew, sitting with me during the lonely evening hours when the hospital felt like a tomb. She shared stories about her life, raising 2 teenage boys alone after her husband died in a car accident 5 years ago. Although it was challenging, she made it work. Her boys aspired to be a doctor and a teacher. "You must be so proud," I remarked. "I am, but they're not perfect. They drive me crazy sometimes. But they're kind. That's what matters to me." I pondered my own children. Had I failed somehow? Had I raised them to be selfish or loved them too much, providing too much without teaching them the value of struggle? On my last day in the hospital, Angela assisted me in packing my belongings. The doctor had cleared me to go home, issuing strict instructions to rest and follow up with my regular physician. "Do you have someone to help you at home? Family? Friends?" Angela asked. I almost laughed at the irony. "I'll manage," I replied. I returned to my house on Trad Street, a beautiful 3-story historic home that my late husband Thomas and I had purchased for a modest sum back in 1982. Back then, Charleston's historic district was just beginning its revival. Now, these homes were worth a fortune. Thomas had passed away 15 years ago from a heart attack at 58, gone before he could even retire. We had planned to travel the world together, but instead, I traveled alone, taking cruise after cruise in an attempt to fill the emptiness. The house felt vast and hollow as I walked through the door. Mrs. Patterson had kindly stocked my refrigerator and turned on the heat, but it still felt cold and unwelcoming. For the next few days, I focused on recovering, mostly sleeping and watching television. Patricia called once to ask how I was feeling. The conversation lasted 3 minutes. Michael sent a text, "Glad you're home. Take care." Not one inquiry about groceries or assistance, just "take care." It was Angela who called to check on me on her day off, ensuring I was taking my medications and eating properly. "You don't have to do this," I told her. "I'm no longer your patient." "I know," she replied, "but I worry about you, Mrs. Crawford. Is that okay?" No one had worried about me in so long that I found myself crying again. "It's more than okay," I managed to say. 2 weeks after my return home, Patricia and Michael appeared unannounced, together. That should have been my first warning sign. They barely tolerated each other on the best of days. They brought flowers and a casserole, all smiles and feigned concern. "Mom, we need to discuss something important," Patricia began, using the gentle tone reserved for children. My stomach dropped. "We've been thinking," Michael continued. "You're not getting any younger, and this house is just too much for you. All these stairs, the maintenance, the property taxes, we believe you should sell it." Patricia added, "You could move into a nice retirement community, something with medical staff on site, activities, people your own age. Wouldn't that be nice?" I looked at them both, really looked. Patricia was carrying a designer handbag that likely cost more than most people's monthly rent, while Michael wore a new watch that probably equated to my last hospital bill. And they wanted to lecture me about property taxes. "And what would I do with the proceeds from selling the house?" I asked, maintaining a neutral tone. They exchanged glances, revealing that they had rehearsed this. "Well, you'll need some for the retirement home, of course," Michael said. "But the rest, we thought it might be wise to start distributing your estate now for tax purposes." "Tax purposes?" I echoed. "It's just smart planning, Mom," Patricia added. "This way, you can see us enjoy it while you're still alive. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" I stood up, my legs still shaky from the pneumonia, but my resolve was ironclad. "Get out," I said quietly. They stared at me as if I had spoken in a foreign language. "Mom, we're just trying to help," Michael protested. "Get out," I repeated. "You're being unreasonable," Patricia snapped, her facade slipping. "We're trying to have a rational conversation about your future, and you're acting like a child." "My future?" I laughed, a harsh sound that surprised even me. "This isn't about my future. It's about yours. This is about you two circling like vultures, waiting for me to die so you can cash in." "That's not fair," Michael protested, though he had the decency to appear ashamed. "Isn't it? When was the last time either of you visited me before I ended up in the hospital? When was the last time you called just to talk, not to ask for money or favors?" Silence fell. "I was in that hospital for 5 days before you showed up. 5 days. I could have died, and you couldn't be bothered to drive across town. But the moment I began to recover, there you were, already planning how to divide up the house." "We have lives, Mom," Patricia said coldly. "We have responsibilities. We can't drop everything every time you get a little sick." "A little sick," I retorted. "I had pneumonia. I could barely breathe." "But you're fine now, aren't you? You're always fine. You're as strong as an ox. You'll probably outlive us all." The bitterness in her voice was shocking. She actually resented my survival. "I want you both to leave," I said, my voice trembling with anger and hurt. "And don't return unless you can remember that I am your mother, not your retirement plan." They left in a fury, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I stood in the sudden silence of my empty house, feeling absolutely nothing. No regret, no sadness, just a vast emptiness. But that numbness didn't last. By that evening, it morphed into something else entirely: determination. I called my lawyer the next morning. Edward Thornton had managed my affairs for 20 years. He had drafted my will, overseen my late husband's estate, and assisted me in navigating every legal challenge I had encountered. "Vivian," he said warmly when his secretary connected us, "how are you feeling? I heard about your hospitalization." "I'm fine, Edward, but I need to make some changes to my will, major changes." There was a pause. "I see. Would you like to schedule an appointment?" "As soon as possible." We met that afternoon in his office on Broad Street. I shared everything: the hospital stay, my children's conversation, their visit demanding I sell the house. Edward listened, his expression growing graver by the minute. I'm sorry, Vivian, he said when I finished. No parent should have to face this. I want to change my will, I stated firmly. I want to leave the house to someone else. Who do you have in mind? I took a deep breath. Angela Martinez, the nurse who cared for me in the hospital. Edward's eyebrows shot up. That's certainly your right. But I should warn you, your children could contest this. They might claim undue influence or diminished capacity. Let them try, I replied resolutely. I'm 73 years old, not senile. I have never been more clear-headed in my life. I want every penny of my estate to go to Angela Martinez, except for $1 each to Patricia and Michael. $1 each? It's symbolic. It shows I didn't forget them. I actively chose to disinherit them. Edward leaned back in his chair, studying me. Vivian, I must ask, are you absolutely certain about this? This will destroy your relationship with your children. What relationship? I asked bitterly. They haven't treated me like a mother in years. I am merely a bank account to them, an inconvenient obstacle between them and their inheritance. Even so, this is a significant decision. Perhaps you should take some time to reflect on it. Wait a few weeks to ensure this is what you truly want. I have had 73 years to consider what kind of person I want to be, Edward. I do not wish to reward greed and cruelty. I want to recognize true kindness when I see it. He nodded slowly. Very well, then. Let's draft the new will. We spent the next 2 hours meticulously reviewing every detail. The house, the savings accounts, the stock portfolio Thomas had left me, the life insurance policies, everything would go to Angela. I also drafted a letter to be read alongside the will, explaining my rationale for this decision. But I did not stop there. I had another idea that would require perfect timing and a touch of theatrical flair. Edward, I said, I don't want to wait until I'm deceased for this to take effect. I want to gift Angela the house now. That's unusual. There would be significant tax implications. I don't care. I will pay whatever taxes are necessary. I want to witness her reaction when she realizes what I am giving her. More importantly, I want Patricia and Michael to understand that their greed has cost them everything. Edward smiled. You know what, Vivian? I think that's the best idea I've heard all year. Let me prepare the paperwork. Before leaving his office, I asked one more question. Can we keep this confidential for now? I wish to tell Angela personally, in my own way. Attorney-client privilege, he assured me. Your secret is safe. Over the following weeks, I set my plan in motion. I contacted Angela and inquired if she would be willing to check on me occasionally and assist with some errands. She readily agreed, refusing any form of payment. You're my friend, Mrs. Crawford, she insisted. Friends don't charge friends. Angela began stopping by twice a week after her shifts. We would have tea and engage in lengthy conversations. In those few weeks, I learned more about her than I had about my own children in years. She was working double shifts to save for her son's college funds and volunteered at a homeless shelter on her days off. She embodied the kind of person I had hoped to raise. Meanwhile, Patricia and Michael grew increasingly aggressive. They would call me occasionally, sometimes separately, sometimes together, always with the same agenda. I needed to sell the house. I needed to be reasonable. I needed to consider their futures. We're your children, Patricia argued during one particularly heated call. Doesn't that mean anything to you? It used to, I replied, but for you, it only matters when there's money involved. She hung up on me. Michael attempted a different approach, appealing to guilt. Dad would want you to take care of us, he said. He worked hard to build a good life for this family. Don't you want to honor his memory? Your father would be ashamed of both of you, I said quietly. He would be ashamed of what you have become. The calls decreased in frequency after that, which suited me just fine. I was busy working with Edward to transfer the deed to the house into Angela's name. The paperwork took weeks to finalize, but eventually, everything was prepared. I invited Angela over for tea on a Saturday afternoon in late March. Spring had arrived in Charleston, filling my garden with azaleas and wisteria. The house had never appeared more beautiful. Mrs. Crawford, this is lovely, Angela remarked, settling into one of my porch chairs with a cup of Earl Grey. But you didn't have to go to such lengths. Angela, I need to share something with you, and I need you to listen without interruption, no matter how strange it may seem. Her smile faded. Are you okay? Is it your health? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. But I need you to grasp something. Over the past few months, you have shown me more kindness and genuine care than my own children have in years. You didn't do it because you wanted something from me. You did it because that is who you are, a genuinely good person. Mrs. Crawford, please let me finish, she began. I took a deep breath. I have made a decision regarding my estate concerning this house. I noticed a flicker of discomfort in her eyes. She likely thought I was about to ask her to witness my will or something equally morbid. I'm giving it to you, I stated simply. The house, everything, it's yours. Angela actually laughed, assuming I was joking. That's sweet of you to say, but I'm not joking. I pulled out the folder of documents Edward had prepared. The deed has already been transferred. This house is legally yours as of yesterday. All you need to do is sign these papers accepting the gift. The color drained from her face. You can't, Mrs. Crawford. This is insane. This house is worth about $1.2 million, according to the most recent appraisal, plus another $400,000 in savings and investments that are also now in your name. Angela stood up so quickly that she nearly knocked over her teacup. No, absolutely not. I can't accept this. Your children. My children have made it abundantly clear that they only value me for my money, I interrupted. You valued me as a person. You held my hand when I was scared. You cared for me when no one else would. But, Mrs. Crawford, I was merely doing my job. No, I asserted firmly. You went far beyond your job. You visited me on your days off. You called to check on me. You became my friend when I had none. That's not a job, Angela. That's genuine human kindness, and it's rarer than you think. Angela sat back down, her hands trembling. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept it. Say you'll use it to provide your boys with the future they deserve. Say you'll allow me to do this one good thing before I die. You're not dying. We're all dying, sweetheart. Some of us just have a clearer understanding of the timeline. I'm 73. I beat pneumonia this time, but there will be a next time. And I will not allow Patricia and Michael to get their greedy hands on what Thomas and I built. Angela began to cry, silent tears streaming down her face. This is too much. It's too generous. I don't deserve this. You deserve every bit of it. And do you know what the best part is? I get to see you enjoy it. I don't have to be dead for you to benefit from my generosity. I can witness you build a life here. Watch your boys grow up in this house, which holds more value to me than any amount of money. She signed the papers with trembling hands. We sat together on that porch for hours, planning her future. She'd continue working as a nurse if she wished, but without the crushing burden of rent and bills. Her boys could attend college without drowning in student debt. She could finally breathe. When will you inform your children? She asked quietly. Soon, I replied. Very soon. I waited another week, allowing the reality of the transfer to settle, making absolutely certain all legal documents were filed and recorded. Then I invited Patricia and Michael over for dinner. They arrived, likely hoping I would finally agree to sell the house. Their demeanor was almost friendly, revealing their confidence. We dined on pot roast and potatoes, engaging in small talk about their lives, jobs, and the weather. Normal, pleasant topics. Then, over coffee and dessert, I dropped the bombshell. I have some news, I said, setting down my cup. I've decided what to do with the house. They both leaned forward, attempting to appear casual but failing miserably. I've given it away, I announced, to Angela Martinez, the nurse who cared for me in the hospital. For a moment, there was absolute silence. Then Patricia laughed, a sharp, disbelieving sound. Very funny, Mom, but seriously. I am completely serious. The deed has been transferred. The house is no longer mine. It is hers. Michael's face turned white, then red. You can't do that. You can't just give away our inheritance. It was never your inheritance. It was mine to do with as I pleased, and it pleased me to give it to someone who genuinely cares about me as a person, not as a financial account. Patricia stood up, her chair scraping harshly against the floor. This is insanity. You're not in your right mind. We will contest this. Get out, I said quietly. You're being unreasonable, Patricia insisted, her mask slipping. We're trying to have a rational conversation about your future. My future? I interrupted, finally allowing my anger to surface. This is about yours. This is about you two circling like vultures, waiting for me to die so you can cash in. How could you do this to us?" Michael's voice trembled with rage. "We're your children." "Then act like it," I shot back. "Act like children who love their mother, not vultures waiting for her demise. Do you know what it's like to lie in a hospital bed, terrified and alone, waiting for your children to visit? Do you know what it's like to hear them enter and immediately start calculating your worth?" "We never," Patricia began. "I heard you," I interrupted. "In the hospital. So who gets the house?" "That's what you said, Patricia, while I lay there, barely able to breathe. You were already dividing up my possessions." The guilt on their faces was almost satisfying. Almost. "That was taken out of context," Michael said weakly. "Was it? Then explain the context to me, Michael. Explain how asking about inheritance while your mother is in the hospital is anything other than pure greed." They could not respond. They stood there, speechless, their facades finally stripped away. Angela was there, I continued, my voice quieter but resolute. Every single day she held my hand, she brushed my hair, she spoke to me as if I were a human being, not a future payday. She earned this house in ways you will never comprehend. She manipulated you. Patricia spat. She saw a lonely old woman and took advantage. "Don't you dare," I said, standing up. "Don't you dare project your own greed onto her." Angela did not know I was wealthy. She was unaware of this house. She cared for me because that is who she is, unlike you two who only show up when there is something in it for you. "We're going to fight this," Michael said, his jaw set. "We will take you to court. We will prove she influenced you." "Good luck with that," I replied calmly. "Edward has documented everything, every conversation, every decision, every evaluation. You will spend whatever money you have left on lawyers and you will lose. Please, waste your resources and demonstrate to the world what kind of people you truly are." They left in a fury, Patricia screaming about betrayal and ingratitude, while Michael was already on the phone with a lawyer. I watched them depart, feeling nothing but relief. The following day, they arrived with a moving truck. I was at Angela's, well, her house now, helping her measure the rooms for new furniture, when my phone rang. It was Mrs. Patterson. "Vivian, you need to return home. Your children are here with movers. They're trying to enter the house." "Let them try," I replied calmly. "The locks were changed yesterday." I drove back to Trad Street to find Patricia and Michael on the front porch, yelling at a locksmith they had called. The locksmith appeared uncomfortable, clearly caught in the middle of a family drama. "Ma'am," he was saying to Patricia, "I can't just break into a house without proof of ownership." "I'm telling you, this is my mother's house," Patricia shrieked. "Actually," I interjected as I approached the front steps, "it's not." They turned to face me, Michael's face a shade of purple with rage, while Patricia looked as though she wanted to physically assault me. "You can't do this," Michael seethed. "You can't lock us out of our own mother's house. It's no longer my house, remember? I gave it away. Therefore, you are trespassing on private property. I'm sure the new owner would be happy to call the police if you do not leave." "This is theft," Patricia shouted. "Grand larceny. We will have you arrested for giving away my own property." "Good luck with that," I replied. I turned to the locksmith. "Thank you for your time, but your services are no longer required. These individuals have no legal right to enter this house." The locksmith hurried away, eager to escape the situation. "We're your children," Michael said, and for the first time I detected genuine pain in his voice. "How can you just cut us out like this?" "How can you?" I retorted. "How can you look at your mother and see nothing but dollar signs? How can you ignore her when she is ill, yet appear the moment she is well enough to sign papers? How can you live with yourselves?" "We're not perfect," Patricia said, her voice breaking, "but we are still your family." "Family shows up," I echoed Angela's words from months prior. "Family holds your hand when you're scared. Family loves you for who you are, not what you have. You two ceased being my family the day you decided I was worth more dead than alive." They stood there, finally speechless, finally comprehending that they had lost everything due to their own greed. "If you contest the will, you will receive nothing," I continued. "Edward ensured that. But if you walk away now and accept what has happened, I will leave you each $50,000. It is more than you deserve. but I am still your mother, and some habits are difficult to break. I could see them calculating, weighing their options. Pride versus pragmatism. In the end, pragmatism prevailed, just as it always did for them. Fine, Michael finally said. We'll take it. Smart choice. Edward will contact you with the details. Now, please leave. You're upsetting the neighbors. They left, and I never saw them again. Angela and her boys moved into the house 2 weeks later. I relocated to the guest house at the back of the property, a cozy 2-bedroom cottage that was perfect for someone of my age. We became neighbors, family by choice, not blood. I am now 81, 8 years after all of this transpired. Angela's boys are in college, one in medical school, the other pursuing a teaching degree. The house is filled with life, laughter, and genuine love, not the counterfeit version I had been accepting from my biological children. Patricia and Michael took their $50,000 and vanished. I occasionally hear things through mutual acquaintances. They are still struggling, still making poor choices, still waiting for their big break. I sleep peacefully every night in my little cottage, knowing I made the right decision. Sometimes, justice is not about punishment, it is about rewarding those who truly deserve it. Please subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. With love and respect.